Hey, excuse me, a little auspicious day here. Look what's up in the sky. Got a rainbow cloud.
Oh my God, you do.
How about that, Tom? You see it, Danny?
You see that straight up there?
How about that?
There's a rainbow up there.
A rainbow cloud, yeah. That's an auspicious. You see a cloud?
Yeah, I see it.
Hey, Tom, take a look at the sky.
Green, isn't it?
No, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red.
Hey, what's wrong with just thinning out the
beautiful, isn't it?
thinning out the whole brush? There's going to be all the piles and let just nature take over.
You can do that. That's an option.
I mean, you know,
That is an option.
there's wildlife around. It's just it's not plentiful.
But if you're looking at, you could come in and you could take down all this timber, drag out the stems,
Because you
sell
already
that.
do have some nice areas.
Yeah, leave all the tops for protection. But the one thing you want to look at in here is that most of this timber, if you're thinking about long-term about having, say, periodic income from sale of timber, or breaking up the property into management units and managing each unit, say, every 10 or 15 years with a timber sale, for about 15 years from now, 15 years after that, on different portions of the property, I'm looking at this tree and I'm looking at other trees in here, and I'm saying that these trees are not done growing yet.
Right. Okay.
They're not done achieving their maximum volume that they can.
You're more looking at a 100-year picture and somebody managing this as the years and years go by to...
Right. I'm looking at it for the long term.
And that's what I'm looking at it for, Dan, you know, because, let's see, 50 years, I don't know if any of us are going to be here, but hopefully the grandchildren will look back and say, Uncle Tom, remember Uncle Tom? Everybody likes Uncle Tom.
Exactly. I mean, so, you know, you don't, unless you're a real gung-ho wildlife enthusiast, which I am, but that's not all I care about. If I own a property and it's 95 acres, I'm going to be thinking about leaving a legacy for my kids, managing that property for forest health, managing it for diversity of wildlife, growing some ginseng and some mushrooms on the property, and not doing it all at once, not doing it all one cut now, and then basically not being able to generate revenue 15, 20 years, 30 years down the road, or creating wildlife habitat in a checkerboard pattern. He has all the characteristics of a good crop tree. He's got a crown that's up there, even or above some of the other crowns around, especially if you stood back and looked from the side. He's got a nice straight stem. You're looking for defects in the quality of the stem, any old knots, any old branch wounds. If there's another tree around here that has better quality, that is straighter, or has less branch wounds on it for the first 20 feet, maybe you'd select him as your crop tree. Yep.
Oh, okay.
What you're also doing too is that when you select him as a crop tree, based on his timber quality characteristics, you want to look up into that crown and see how much of that crown is going to expand if we take out some of the competition. That's what we're trying to do with crop tree. Leaving this tree behind
is to give it enough light
up there
space
and space up there. So what we're doing is you stand back and you look straight up at that crown. It's a lot easier to do in the summertime when the leaves are on, and you see what other trees around him are impeding his growth outward.
Yeah.
So automatically, one thing that jumps out, this Virginia pine, it's right up against it. If you take this Virginia pine out, which I have a saw in the truck, I could do it for you right now to show you the dramatic difference. You take this Virginia pine out, all of a sudden there's a hole of about probably 15 by 10 feet that red oak will hit its crown into.
Yeah.
And it feed the tree.
The fight's a little bit of light there, see? That's what they're fighting for.
And the same thing over here, you have this black birch,
Yeah.
great source of firewood.
Yeah.
They use it for toothpicks, doesn't have much of a value in the timber market, not much wildlife value either.
But it's screwing
especially
with
in
that tree.
comparison to red oak acorn.
Right, it's screwing with that tree though.
Right. Look at the quality of these logs. They're pretty crooked. This one has an old crack in it. There's a rock pocket down here. Never going to make a quality timber tree. Doesn't produce a lot of good wildlife food, and it's impeding our red oak crop tree.
Okay, now I understand.
So we take them down. We put them on the ground. We cut the tops off. Leave the tops for wildlife cover and for soil regeneration. And now we have another open pocket for that red oak to expand his crown into. When he expands his crown, he produces more twigs, which produce more leaves, which produces more photosynthesis and energy for the tree. And that energy is used to restock the root system so that he'll keep growing, as well as that energy, the excess is stored as wood.
Might be in pass it up. Yeah.
The rings will be thicker. Exactly. So Mike, earlier you asked me, what is the result of doing nothing? If you did nothing here, this tree is already in a pretty dominant position. Knowing that Virginia pine generally has a lifespan of about 80 years, more than likely he'll be dead within 15 years. And he's probably going to get shaded out more by those white pines, by this red oak. He's going to get out competed. But you're losing 15 years of growth on that red oak that you could get now by taking him down and taking these birches down. You're losing 15 years of growth. Trying to think of the rough volume of that tree right now is probably about 400 board feet in that red oak. Red oak is a fairly fast-growing tree. Of the species we have in Pennsylvania, it's one of the fastest. On this site, every 10 years, it's probably adding about 2 inches all around the tree of diameter growth.
But that's a lot of volume, though.
That's a good bit of volume.
Yeah.
Now,
By R squared.
That's big money too.
if you chose to do nothing, that tree on this growing site, which is a pretty good growing site, he'll probably be around another 50, 60 years. He'll maximize his volume. Well, he'll grow another 50, 60 years at 2 inches per 10 years. If you did nothing, in 30 years, he goes from a 22 to a 28-inch tree, 40 feet of usable volume to that upper crotch of usable wood volume, 28-inch diameter, 40 feet of usable volume, probably looking at about, in 30 years, having about 800 board feet.
That's the difference.
That's by doing nothing. If you do something now, if you come in, identify him as a crop tree, he gets knocked down, these guys get knocked down, maybe you use them on your own for firewood, or if you do this all across your management unit, this crop tree management, you can probably sell a lot of this stuff for pulpwood or firewood or pallet wood, not make a lot of money, a few grand, to maybe put into your food plot or into your woodcock management plan, what have you. But you knock those guys down, that crappy red maple there, the one with the smooth bark,
Yep.
knock him down, and then that white ash right there with the more rougher bark and kind of the split crotch there, he's not a good timber or wildlife species tree. Knock him down, and all of a sudden, this way, and
You got a beautiful tree.
is over top. He expands that way. All of a sudden, he goes from growing 2 inches every 10 years to 4.5. So in 30 years, he goes from being a 22-inch tree to a 36-inch tree.
And
You get that much more volume.
pi r,
Probably 1,200 board feet.
pi r squared, yeah.
And
How
if
about
he
that?
retains, which he should, if he characteristics, right now, that lower 16 feet to